What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Planet Creative Podcast. This week we have a trainer, marketer, business owner, pretty much does it all, Rashard.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys?
Why don't you take it away? Tell everybody a little bit about what you do.
All right, so I do marketing for the Danbury Sports Dome. I run my own training program. We call it Mad Ballers Training and Mentorship. And yeah, that's about it right now. You know, I still train myself, trying to stay active and make a difference really in the community, and as well as teach myself and kids things. And that's really it right now.
So do you feel like you have to, obviously you can't play right now because of COVID. So like you can't be in a league. Do you feel like you owe it to the kids and the people you're training to still keep up with your own skills in a sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. The whole reason I wanted to start it was because once I graduated college, I learned so much more about basketball, about what I should have been doing beforehand, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, during quarantine, that's what was on my mind the most. And it was like, damn, I wish I could have learned these things earlier. So I was like, why don't I, take it upon myself to try to teach kids the things that I should have learned earlier at an earlier age. You know what I mean? So that's what really made me start. And now I keep up with my skills, because then the sharper I am, the sharper I can be for them. So
that's dope. That's dope to hear. So what really, but besides being in quarantine and, maybe looking back on film, thinking back on things that you didn't necessarily do correct in your time in basketball, besides that, what else made you want to, start your own business? Was it the fact that the economy was shut down and, we both had just graduated, so it was a little harder to get jobs than kids who graduated before us? Or was it just something you always wanted to do?
I mean, my dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own, I don't know if you know, like, about pagers and stuff like that from way back when, but he used to fix pagers. He had his own, basically a technology store before technology was technology. You know what I mean?
Right, that's crazy.
When CDs first came out. So, I mean, he kind of inspired me on that front. But, I graduated. Like I said, like you said, we got hit with Corona. We got hit with quarantine. I started thinking about all the things I previously mentioned. And then also it's just like I see a lot of the kids around me on my team, or in any sports really, and on college teams, that don't really know what they're going to do after, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I've always had a plan that I wanted to, work in marketing, but also have my own thing, whatever that is. Because I know sometimes, you're not going to find a job that, necessarily fits everything that you want to do in your life. So it's like, what can I do besides my regular job that's going to make me happy and I'm going to make a difference in something, you know what I mean? So that's what kind of influenced me to start.
So with your dad being an entrepreneur, that's actually really cool to hear and interesting, because I didn't even know that. Were there any lessons that he kind of gave you or things he taught you when you were like, hey, I'm trying to open my own business or start my own company?
Well, not necessarily things that he taught me, since they were so, different. He was working in technology. I'm trying to train kids. But it's just that mindset growing up as, being able to be independent and, start something and have the courage and to put yourself out there, even if you fail, even if no kids came to train with me, you know what I mean? I had that courage because of him to start my own thing. A lot of people are scared to do stuff like that. So that's one thing that he really helped me out with, is just giving me that confidence to move forward with whatever I want to do, you know?
No, that's definitely a valid point, because like we were even talking about before the podcast, I had been wanting to do a podcast for 3 years, and it was always, I didn't know what to do it about. I didn't know if I wanted a co-host, so I didn't really have anyone to do it with. But the other thing was, a major thing was that I was almost scared in a sense, because I was like, oh, if I start this podcast, people are just going to be like, look at this bozo trying to start his own, and I think that's something that a lot of people who start something are always worried about, and is, what am I going to look like to other people for starting my own business? Well, what if this fails? What are people going to think? So it's kind of cool that you had that influence in your life that kind of already gave you that motivation to see that, like, it doesn't really matter what others think, because you have the courage to at least try. or at least start it. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that first step is trying.
That's the big thing. That's what I was gonna say, was starting it, is because a lot of people, they put things off, or they make excuses to why they haven't already started, or what they're gonna do in the future. They don't, like, you have to start somewhere. You know what I mean? Even if you wanted a co-host and didn't have a co-host, right now you're doing it, and hey, who knows? Somebody may come along and be like, yo, this is something I've always wanted to do, that I've been putting work in on the side, trying to develop an idea or something, and you can find a co-host that way. But it's all about building that foundation and starting somewhere. But that's where that confidence comes in, because if you don't have confidence, you're not going to want to start anything.
That's definitely true. And I think that's been kind of been a theme on a lot of our episodes so far, is kind of just whether it's taking a job that wasn't from your major in college, whether it's you didn't go to college, whether it's you started your own company. A lot of it is just taking that first step and really saying that you don't give a fuck about what other people think. Because if you cared, and if anybody cared, if Elon Musk or Bill Gates listened to all of the negative tweets about them, they probably wouldn't be where they are.
And that's every celebrity too. Like, everybody's gonna troll anybody.
Especially nowadays.
Everybody has different outlooks on everything. You know what I mean? So you're gonna get opinions from everywhere. Yeah. It's just how confident you are in yourself as to what value you put to those comments.
Yeah. And speaking of trolls, did you see, this is a complete side note from being an entrepreneur or anything like that, did you see that shit that happened to Sway Lee?
Oh, but the guy who stole his
and then he went on IG Live in like a Guy Fawkes anonymous mask, like playing his music in the background.
Yep. He's like, I got your whatever.
Hard drive. His hard drive.
Yeah, with the music. I thought you were gonna bring up Kyrie.
Burning sage. No, I was showing my girl that this morning. That shit was so funny.
That had me crying.
I still don't know whether he was trying to expel bad energy from his time at the Celtics or trying to put some bad juju on the Celtics. I don't know, but
whatever it is, as long as it's helping KD.
Oh yeah, you're a big KD fan, right?
Yeah, he's my guy.
So actually, yeah, that's a good thing to get into then. So who were your influences growing up when it came to things like sports? Because obviously, you played college ball. You played. We were just talking. You were just playing pickup in, what was it, Sweden, and you got invited to join a 3-on-3 team. Who were some of your influences growing up?
Really influences, like I said, was my dad. He was always the one, telling me that I can do whatever I really put my mind to. So he's the reason I really go out and practice and do what I do. But then also, like, KD was my favorite player when he came into the league. Before that, it was Dwayne Wade. So Dwayne Wade, I would watch Dwayne Wade all day, every day. And then KD came in, and that's my dad. That's my
what is it, your Twitter handle or something? One of your social medias, isn't it Rash Money Sniper?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a little homage to KD through that.
If you look on my post, on my Instagram feed, you click on every single picture, it's all Easy Money Sniper. I tag him in every picture I post. But yeah, I just like, how he handles himself, because like you said, he deals with a lot of critics as well. So it's just inspirational and motivational the way, you see the people you look up to handle similar situations. No matter, I know I'm not in the league making hundreds of millions of dollars, but we still go through the same type of things.
And we can connect with those athletes on a, that's one of the cool things about sports, is like, they do show you that at the end of the day, even if this dude has, is a foot taller than you, way faster than you, stronger than you, like, he's still a normal person. He still goes through what normal people go through.
Exactly.
But as somebody who was a KD fan and kind of looked at KD as like a idol, or not an idol, but somebody they looked up to, how did you feel about his whole controversy? Because we're talking about trolling and negative comments on the internet. So how did you feel with that Golden State controversy?
See, it's just like everybody else right now. Now everybody realizes, basketball is a business. Like, it's been a business.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? LeBron was moving around the league before that. A lot of people were moving around the league, but it's just, he's so good that when he moved and went with somebody else who's so good, it just broke the internet. You know what I mean? And I would take that as a compliment, like, because if, you know, Gerald Green went to the Warriors, nobody's going to be like, oh my gosh, he's the worst person in the world. You know what I mean? But like, it's KD. So like, that's unfair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
And the fact that it's deemed unfair, that's a compliment. He's a human being, just like everybody else in the league. You know what I mean? So his move making such an impact, it just shows how great he is, you know?
Definitely. No, KD is a great player. For a while, I didn't really agree with it or like it just because, I don't know. I just never liked the Warriors. I never I don't know, because like growing up, my dad, I mean, I ain't gonna give away his age, but that man's old. He grew up watching basketball when like people weren't shooting threes and shit. So like for him growing up, I always heard like, oh man, like you gotta get cut to the rim, all this shit. Like I don't want to see these kids taking threes, like blah blah blah. So like for me, when I saw that shit happen, I was like, damn, now I gotta watch another person who could hit threes, just shoot threes. But like, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's kind of like in football, I hate Tom Brady, but I respect Tom Brady for his greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always like, man, I hope Tom Brady loses. I hope he doesn't get another ring. I've never been somebody to wish pain on somebody, so I've never been like, I hope he tears his ACL because I've had knee problems through sports and that shit is horrible. I don't wish that on no one. But like, I still respect their greatness. And like it sucked because I liked KD a lot in OKC. Like I really did like KD. KD was always like dope to me. KD and Russ, and when they had Harden, but I mean, obviously they've all evolved into their own players at this point. But I mean, besides that, like, what is something you notice in training kids that, you know, maybe you didn't necessarily expect when you first got into it? Was there anything that like stood out to you as like, you know, whether it was having to go home and actually like write down drills and like focus on something specific for a kid, whereas you thought if you just had a whole group, like it would be easy, you would just run them all through the same drills? Like what is something that makes it different or kind of switches it up for you?
It's exactly that, is, you know, finding something that's going to work for a whole group, because every kid is different. So, you know, you don't want to put together a drill that's too difficult that, you know, they're going to watch one of the kids trying, and, you know, that discourages him because, you know, everybody else completed it, but he was struggling. You know what I mean? So it's just finding what works for everyone, but also what's going to get everyone better and what's going to challenge everyone. So it is tough. That made me go back and start studying other trainers, studying the game more, you know, watching stuff like Detail, the show on ESPN that Kobe Bryant used to do, but now a lot of players do it, that they analyze the game and break down tape, and just basically getting deeper into the game than I would as a player. And that's really what was like most difficult to me at first.
So right now, like, what are the age groups, or I don't really know how basketball works. Is it levels? Is it ages? Like as you progress, like what are the age groups you're kind of handling right now?
So right now I'm working with young kids, like 8, 9. I have a group of about 8 to 9 year olds, and then I had a group of 6 or 7 7th and 8th graders.
Okay.
But obviously that had to, you know, break up and separate, and we had to break into pods and stuff because of COVID. But, you know, the thing that surprised me the most was how engaged, you know, the 8 and 9 year olds were compared to, you know, the 7th and 8th graders. They're 12, 13 years old. That's another thing that I learned and wasn't expecting, is that, you know, kids are really going through different phases in their life, and you can tell, you know what I mean? Like those 8 and 9 year olds are just happy to be there. And then you can tell with 12 and 13 year olds if they really want to be there or if they don't, where their head is at, you know what I mean? So it's just trying to find stuff to keep everybody engaged.
I think something, you know, obviously I'm not a trainer, but just from playing sports my whole life, I think something that you know, once you get to that like 12, 13-year-old age, I was fortunate enough to grow up where my parents were like, whatever sport you want to play, you can play it. We're not going to force you into any sports. You just tell us you want to try it and you can play it. Whereas like some parents are really like, no, you have to play this sport because I played this sport. You know, it's like they're trying to live their dreams through their kids. So I feel like 12 or 13 is where you really get to that age where you kind of start making your own choices. So like I feel like some of those kids, like you're like, you could see where their head's at. You can tell who doesn't want to be there. I feel like some of those kids, maybe they don't want to be there because like maybe basketball is not the sport for
Exactly.
them,
Yeah.
or you know, something like that. Have you noticed anything with kids where
Well,
you kind of see that, or
well,
like
yeah. I mean,
parents like being a little too much? Because that's something I always noticed growing up too. Because my dad coached, so he would come home and be like, "Oh, these parents." Like the reason my dad got out of coaching was actually because of parents. And in a sport like hockey,
yeah.
parents are fucking crazy in hockey. Like, especially because these parents are throwing down like 2 G's for just the season, not to mention however much they're spending on their kids' equipment, travel costs, hotels, gas. Like, so they were really crazy at sometimes. Have you
Yeah,
kind of
they're
noticed
trying to
that?
make sure they're getting their money's worth
Mm-hmm.
with that. But I mean, with me, I haven't really. It hasn't really been with the parents so much, but I can tell, with the kids if they want to be there or not. Like, and if basketball just isn't their main
Mm-hmm.
sport. I had a couple of kids that would tell me that basketball just isn't their main sport. And those kids, you just have to try to make it fun for them
Mm-hmm.
because they're not there to, train as if they're going to try to go to college for that sport or play varsity high school for that sport. But they're there, so you got to make it worthwhile for
Mm-hmm.
them. So I did SAQ training as well.
What's that?
So
I'm not sure what
like
that
speed,
is.
agility, and
Oh,
quickness.
okay, okay.
And so like that's something where those kids that weren't so into basketball that they could go into and enjoy and show their athleticism
Mm-hmm.
without just basketball. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that's another thing is a lot of kids don't like to play basketball because if that's not their main sport, they aren't as good in it as they should be or
Mm-hmm.
want to be. So they get discouraged. You know what I mean? They don't think they're as athletic as the other kids, but that's not always the case. It just
Right.
depends on what your body is tailored to, what your
Yeah.
main sport is, what you're most interested in. So just finding that happy medium is
Yeah.
the toughest part.
And it's also like interesting that you said like you had the kids come up to you and be like, "Ah, this isn't my main sport. Like
Yeah.
this isn't really what I want to be doing." And it's like kids are so brutally honest sometimes.
But I
Like,
mean, the other thing is though is I try to make it as like I'm not you know a strict coach.
right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
I try.
Especially when you're dealing with kids that age.
That's why I made it into not just training, but training and mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Because regardless of what these kids do, I want them to be able to reach out to me and still talk to me as if I'm their boy.
Right.
I give them somebody to look up to. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah. I feel like I've seen you maybe post like a few screenshots on IG or something from kids who have texted you.
yeah,
And like that's actually dope to see. Like
yeah.
that's really cool to see that like they really take an interest in you and kind of you being like an older kid that they look up to. That's something that's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, because like you said, like there's a lot of politics in sports nowadays. So, when you come to a training program where, not much is expected and, you know, it's a more free flow type of environment,
Mm-hmm.
they open up more. You know what I mean? They don't feel like pressured to be a certain way.
Right.
And that's what I want them to do is, find what is best for them. And if it's not basketball, then this is just, something for you to do to have fun, stay active, stay healthy. You know what I mean? So I just try to make sure that I'm somebody that they can approach. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, that is there. So were you training kids at all before COVID started?
no,
No.
no, not at
Okay,
all.
because I was gonna ask if if there was anything different you noticed, or if there was something that you found beneficial about the whole pod thing.
Well, the thing that's beneficial about that is that, you know, it allows me to focus on those 4 kids so I can keep them more engaged. I can, make sure that they're having fun. But if I had a group of 12 or 16 kids,
Right.
it's hard to, make sure that, you know, Braden or Connor or Jack is specifically having fun because I have to worry about 12 other kids too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really something that I feel is beneficial as to, not having those large groups and large numbers.
So what are some things that you've done to kind of get the word out there for your business and make it as successful as it has been in the starting stages during COVID? Because obviously this is a hard time for even
It
established
is.
businesses to grow and gain clients. But like, I mean, you can see from the content on your Instagram that it's not like you only have like 2 or 3 kids there. Like you have a
Mhm.
group of kids.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, what did you do to kind of gain traction?
So really, like they say, word of mouth marketing is the most powerful source of marketing that
Mm-hmm.
there is. It's just, I started with a couple of kids, 2, 3 kids, And then, I try to be creative with them, make videos. And then really it's the parents that go back and they're like, oh, my kid has such a great time with so and so, he's training him. And then they're like, oh, I'm looking for my son to do something. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because especially right now, you can't find a lot of places to go and train or go and play or go and do anything really. So, I'm just trying to make it as fun as possible so that people have oh, you hit it.
Yeah, I hit it. Sorry, we got the dogs making their first appearance here on the podcast, guys. So they've been a little wild today. So what got you into marketing? Obviously, it was your major in college. Was that the first major you chose, or were you kind of undecided until a certain event?
No, yeah, that was the first major I chose. My uncle is really the one who first got me into marketing. Um, he was working in New York for Absolute Vodka, and in my freshman year of high school, he took me and I went to work for a day with him, and basically just saw how it was to work in a company of that caliber, and the lifestyle that they live, what they do on a day-to-day basis. I went to the office, got introduced to people, and went to eat a nice steak dinner, lunch. So he's really what got me into it. And then while I was in college, he had to move to Sweden because he had gotten a promotion, and he ended up getting me an internship there, and that just changed my whole outlook on everything because I enjoyed it, so much. And I thought about, basketball has brought me so many different places. I've gone to, Spain. I've gone across the U.S., a whole bunch of different states and stuff. But also, marketing can do the same thing. And he was the first person that really showed me anything besides the sports. You know what I mean? So I ended up going to do my internship in Sweden with Absolute. And while I was there, I was going and, playing sports, trying to, do what I do. And that was before my senior year of college as well on the court. So I went out and I was playing pickup as much as I could. And I actually got picked up to play in the in the Swedish 3x3 national tournament. So it was like televised, and it was like a whole big event set up, and I didn't even know what I was walking into. It was crazy.
You
So
just thought it was like a little tournament, and then you
yeah,
got
yeah. I
there?
thought he was like, "Yeah, you want to play in this tournament with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, it's like 6 hours away." I was like, 6 hours away for a tournament? I was like, "All right, whatever. Like, I'm in a new country. Let's do new things," My dad was hitting me up. He was all worried. He's like, "You don't even know these people. Like, they could be taking you to the slums and like kidnap
Of
you."
Sweden.
Yeah, I'm like, "Of Sweden, Dad. Like, I don't think there is one slum over there." But no, I went, and it was actually a crazy experience. I got there, right, and it was on a beach on the coast of Helsingborg, I think it's called, which you could see Sweden basically in the distance. And while I was there, it was during the World Cup. So when I got there was, I want to say, like 20,000 people all on that. Like, it was like a big boardwalk, like Jersey boardwalk,
Yeah,
Jersey
kinda,
Shore or
yeah.
whatever. And there was 20,000 people watching the World Cup on a huge screen and going crazy. And I was like, wow, this is like different.
Yeah.
That's energy, and that's the type of environment you don't really see that a lot here. And so I went down there and I got to play, and I almost made it on TV out there.
That's sick.
I was one game away. We lost in the quarterfinals, and from
Damn.
the semifinals on, it was on TV. But so that was a good experience. And then basically I finished up my thing. I was there for 8 weeks. So I was out there. I did a digital marketing internship. I got to work on projects with the creator of Giphy.
Okay.
Yeah, he was making some stickers for drinks and stuff like that. And I got a ton of alcohol too. So
That's
that
dope.
was a
Did
great.
you get to bring it back?
Yeah, I
Customs
did.
take that shit.
No, I
That's
brought it
dope.
back. I think you can bring back a certain amount before they start either taxing you or taking you
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever.
So what were some of the projects you worked on while you were with Absolute?
So like I said, there was the one, it was a sticker. They were creating animated stickers for a new drink that they were putting out. I actually had to work with um a couple of different creative companies trying to choose a creative company to work on a project. They were trying to basically make a drink for Gen Z, for millennials and like the younger demographic. And so they were trying to figure out, what type of video, what type of drinks, witty drinks they called it. So what type of witty drinks that would appeal to, the younger audience. Um, then I also worked on um, helping them release these two new bottles in the UK. So there were two. They were flavored vodkas, but I forgot what was so different about them. I think they were the process in which they flavored them. I think they used the real fruit and something, I don't know, but I helped them basically introduce that and choose the creative agency to work with for those drinks. And then I helped them with a giveaway. And that was really basically what I could help with for those 8 weeks. I also did a social creative analysis, which is basically going through all the social medias of competing companies and creating a mood board and listing their content trends and all of that. So it definitely gave me some good experience to, bring over here.
So what's next for you then? Is it growing Mad Ballers? Is it getting a job in the corporate world? Is it starting your own social media company and having Mad Ballers? Like, what's next for you? Coaching?
Hopefully, a little bit of all three of those. I want to, get a job in the corporate world, obviously, and figure out how things move and, what goes on in that type of life. But also I want to grow my own business, and basically I want to be able to keep on making a difference while making money as well. You know what I mean? So trying to find where I'm happy in the corporate world and then making myself as happy as possible outside of that, which is making a difference, teaching kids, developing skills and developing attitudes, and basically just teaching kids how to not only be good at sports, but to be good student athletes. You know what I mean? That was a major driving factor for me, because while I was in school, you come across a whole bunch of people on your sports teams that don't even know really what they're doing there just to play sports. You know what I mean? And I came across a lot of those people.
Or kids who are like kind of almost failing out of school.
Yeah, but they're only there because they're playing sports, So basically I wanted to come up with a way that I can make a difference in that aspect as well. And I want to have it to where I have these athletes basically doing like volunteer work for me. So going to WestCon and having members of the basketball team come and teach kids basketball. I work with Demetrius. He does football training. So he's going to start doing football training with Mad Ballers as well. So we want to kind of grow it to be, multi-sport, multi-athlete, just teaching kids how to be the best that they can be in whatever it is that they do. You know what I mean? But also stressing the importance of school.
Yeah, because that's something you always need.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, for anyone listening, that's Theo. He's growling in the background. His sister's climbing on top of him. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it happening in real time. So that was something I wanted to ask before, but so you are training multiple sports right now, and also, like you said, speed and agility. So it's not like you're just doing basketball here.
Yeah, we're going to try to find, a baseball coach, and those are going to be our three main sports right now. But we really wanted to open up and, be basically, my dream is to end up having my own facility.
Kind of like your own little sports
dome. So like being able to put on after school programs, being able to develop my own camps and my own everything really, and just basically create a hub for kids to, do what they need to do as well as get better at their sports. So coming and doing homework after school, studying their sport, you know what I mean? Getting deeper into the game than they normally would if they were just playing. So
I think that after school aspect is important, not only for grades, but also just getting people to join Mad Ballers or be a part of that like Mad Ballers culture or family because so I have a friend in Poughkeepsie back in my hometown who his family owns a bunch of karate schools, and one of the things they do is they actually pick kids up from school, take them to the karate school. They do homework for about an hour, hour and a half. Then they have their training session at 4 or 5 o'clock. Then the parents get out of work, they can
Yeah,
come
it's
pick them
dope.
up. So it's like you kind of get a 2 for 1. You get an after school program that's also going to make your kids do their homework, because I know when I was a kid, I didn't do homework. And
Yeah.
you also have, you don't have to leave work to drop them off at karate. You're giving your kids an opportunity to do something they enjoy. So I think that, like you said, that like after school thing, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I like where you're going with it. I like how you're not just like a coach to these kids too.
Mhm.
I really like, and I think it's a great idea that you're like a role model or a big brother in a
That's
sense.
exactly what was on my mind while I was creating it. Is I wanted to be like a big brother slash elite training type of thing. You
Hmm.
get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I want kids to come and have somebody to look up to talk to confide in, if need be, but also to help push them to get better at whatever it is they
Hmm.
do. I also wanted to, if I ever end up getting my own spot, to do like esports, to do, just branch out
Right.
and try to bring in kids to get better at it is like whatever they
Whatever
do.
they want
You
to
know what
do.
I mean?
No, I love that. I love that. I think that's a great goal, a great mission,
Hmm.
and I just love what you're doing. I mean, you're doing it all. You're wearing a ton of hats. You're doing marketing. You're training kids. You're still training yourself, making
Yeah.
yourself a better person. You say you want to get in the corporate world. I mean, you're doing a lot, and that's great to see, especially in a time of COVID when some people aren't doing a lot, even though they
Exactly.
could be. Some people are just, whether it's sitting on the couch wallowing or whether it's working from home, whatever, everyone's
Hmm.
going through struggles, but you're still finding a way to do what you love, benefit other people's lives, which is where I think we kind of connect on it because I got into marketing as well for being able to help people while
Hmm.
also making money doing so.
Exactly.
And that's something I really enjoy about marketing, and why I work with small businesses for all of my marketing stuff is because like you're helping these people. It's not like you're just working for some massive company who probably, you're doing marketing stuff for them, but they're like, ah,
Yeah.
whatever, give this kid a check. Like you're truly helping these small businesses, or in your case, these kids, or even the parents, because, not all parents can teach kids, and not all, especially when it comes to sports. Like I know, I played lacrosse. My dad never played lacrosse or held a lacrosse stick until I played lacrosse. So
Yeah.
what the hell was he going to teach me? Like,
Exactly.
and it's just cool to see. And I think you're separating yourself from a lot of trainers by even trying to be like a big brother to these kids and try, I think you're
Hmm.
really separating yourselves because I was fortunate enough to have a trainer that I could confide in, but that was only for my private sessions. When I was in the group sessions at that same facility, I didn't have a trainer to confide in.
Hmm.
There was only that one trainer there, whereas like, and it felt good to have someone like that. So I know from experience, that's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
It truly is.
And that brings it back to like those messages that I get, and that, it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something.
Hmm.
I could go and make a check, at my regular job whenever, but it's about, what can I do to make a difference? And that's what was on my mind a lot during, quarantine, while you see all these people going through whatever it is they're going through. It's just difficult times for everyone. So it's like, how can I make a difference and give kids something to look forward to, you know what I mean, while everything else is shut down. So that was what was really on my mind trying to start it all. And it's just starting to, grow, and I develop more ideas every day. And that's why I think I also got into marketing, is just because of that creativity, is, trying to find solutions to any problem. And that's really what marketing is about, is
Hmm.
finding the solution to whatever problem a company has. And so that's also what brought me to the Dome, is because, like I said, my dream is to open my own facility. So working close with them, I get to see how they do stuff, how they keep their facility up and running, what they do to better their facility, what they do to bring the community in, to bring kids in, and who they market to, what their targets are, like who they want, to be doing business with.
Hmm.
So it's all basically me just trying to learn as much as I can right now.
No, that's awesome, and I know you're gonna do big things. I've known you for for a few years now, even if it was in the dorm when we didn't know each other's names. I
Yeah.
remember walking by you, you'd always smile on your face, say what's up, dap
Yeah.
me up. And for a while I was like, who's this dude? He's fucking cool as fuck. Like, I don't even know, but he's fucking dapping me up, saying what's up. He's got a big smile on his face. So it's great to see you doing well. You know, do you have any messages for the kids out there who may be struggling right now, whether it's with business, sports, you know, if there's something you want to give, a piece of advice for them, something you want to tell them?
It's just like I told you, that you guys have to start somewhere. You know what I mean? Not everything is always going to be perfect for you to be able to begin taking your dreams into your own hands. But as long as you have confidence in yourself and you find a solid place to start building foundation, then you can achieve whatever you really want to. And that's what I would say to any kid, really. And
that a lot.
That doesn't matter what you do. You know what I mean? It could be basketball. It could be marketing. It could be, you know, becoming a creative, video
games,
anything. Really, it's just, you know, having that confidence in yourself to start. I actually, when I was on my internship, I met this guy named Oscar, and it was the first day I was there. They invited me out for drinks, and we didn't talk the whole time. And like the last hour, he came up and switched ends of the table, sat right in front of me. And he was like, "So what's up with you?" And I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, who is this guy?" But he came up and he's like, "What's up with you?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing much." He's like, "No, like, what's your story?" And I was like, "What's my story?" I'm 21 at the time. I'm like, I don't really have a story. I'm a college student. You know what I mean? Like, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to hear my story?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And he's like, "All right, well, you know, I'm not really supposed to be here." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're not supposed to be here? This is just marketing." He's like, "Well, I didn't graduate. You know, I didn't even graduate high school." I was like, "How are you working for Absolute Vodka and you didn't graduate high school?" He said, "I got my first marketing job because I went in and I lied. I told them that I finished college." And I was like, "Really?" He said that 6 months in, they realized he was lying. He got called into the office. He was like, "Oh shit, like I'm done for, you know, like I'm out of here." The boss sat him down and he was like, "So did you lie on your resume?" He was like, "Yeah, I lied." And he said, "Oh, that's funny because I lied on my first resume too." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No way." And really, now he has his own company. He created his own wine. He's selling pizza wine. It's supposed to be the perfect, you know, drink with pizza. But it's just crazy to see how, you know, he just betted on himself. He said, you know, why not? I'm just gonna go in and just sell myself. And that's really what marketing is, you know, is just marketing yourself, marketing everything around you, and just believing in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that was perfect. I don't even really know what else to say with that. That was a great story. I mean, where can people find you? Where can they find your training facility? On Instagram, you know, what are your handles? How can they reach you?
All right, so my Twitter and Instagram handle is RashardR13. And then for my training stuff, it's all under Mad Ballers Training, at Mad Ballers Training on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube soon. I'm just trying to, you know, come up with more creative ideas for kids, and I'm actually trying to introduce stuff for them to have fun, like a weekly TikTok on a certain day. So every Saturday we've been making TikToks together and doing stuff like that. So yeah, at Mad Ballers Training, you can check out everything that we do there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I enjoyed this episode. I think, you know, this was probably one of the most motivational or, you know, knowledgeable podcasts we've had so far. So thank you for sharing some of your stories and some of the stories of others you've met while on your internship and around the world. That was awesome.
It's crazy, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course,
it's definitely a dope experience, and I'm actually happy to see you doing these type of things.
Thank you.
Bro.
Thank you.
Like we both said, man, take a bet on yourself and just go out there and do whatever you have to do. Get it done.
You heard him. Do it. Bet on yourself, and you can't lose. So you can find us on Instagram at Planet Creative Podcast. If you're listening, you can find the video on YouTube again at Planet Creative Podcast. And thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.